Have you ever wondered about the vast land covered in endless forests, cold mountains, and mighty rivers? What makes Russia's history so deep and mysterious, just like its long winters? How did this land witness the rise of great kings, fierce battles, and powerful revolutions? What events shaped Russia into one of the most influential countries in the world today? Who were the leaders that changed its destiny? The birth of Russia, 9th to 13th century. A long time ago, the land that is now Russia was home to many small tribes. Some were Slavs, others were Vikings, known as the history of China, a journey through time. China is one of the oldest civilizations in the world, with a history that stretches back thousands of years. Its story is filled with powerful dynasties, amazing inventions, and a rich culture that has influenced not just Asia, but the entire world. From ancient times to the modern age, China has faced many challenges, but its people have always managed to rise up and create something new. Let's go on a journey through China's past, a journey filled with mystery, bravery, and innovation. It's a story that will captivate your imagination and give you a glimpse into the heart of one of the most fascinating countries on earth. The rise of Moscow, 14th, 16th century. While the Mongols ruled, a small town called Moscow started gaining power. One prince, Ivan I, cleverly worked with the Mongols to make Moscow richer and stronger. His descendants continued this strategy, slowly uniting Russian lands. In 1480, Ivan III, Ivan the Great, finally broke free from Mongol rule. He called himself the Tsar, a Russian word for Caesar, and expanded Russia's territory. His grandson, the Romanov dynasty, and the expansion of Russia, 17th, 19th century. After Ivan the Terrible's death, Russia fell into chaos. Different leaders fought for power until 1613, when the Romanov family took control. This dynasty ruled Russia for over 300 years. One of the most famous Romanov rulers was Peter the Great. He wanted Russia to be as advanced as Europe, so he built a new capital, St. Petersburg, and modernized the army, government, and industry. Another great ruler, Catherine the Great, expanded Russia's land further and made it a major European power. During this time, Russia grew into a vast empire stretching from Europe to the Pacific Ocean. However, life for ordinary people was very hard. Most were serfs, poor farmers who were almost like slaves to rich landowners. The Great Warring States, China in chaos. After the Zhou dynasty came to an end, China entered a period of constant fighting. This era, known as the Warring States period, lasted from 475 BCE to 221 BCE. During this time, many kingdoms fought for power. It seemed like there was no end to the chaos. But out of this turmoil, a new force emerged: the Qin dynasty. The Qin emperor, Qin Shi Huang, became the first emperor of China in 221 BCE, and he began to unite the country. His most famous achievement was the creation of the Great Wall of China, a massive structure built to protect China from invaders. The Qin dynasty didn't last long, but it laid the foundation for what would come next. The idea of a powerful emperor ruling all of China would shape the country's history for many years. The Age of the Han, the Golden Age. One of the most important periods in Chinese history was the Han Dynasty, 206 BCE, 220 CE. This was a time of great peace, prosperity, and cultural achievement. The Han created a strong government, built new roads and canals, and developed a system of education that would influence China for centuries. The Han people also made huge advances in science and technology. They invented paper, which allowed for the spread of knowledge, and they made important discoveries in medicine and astronomy. China's power and influence grew during the Han Dynasty, and they began trading with countries far away. The Silk Road, a network of trade routes, was established, and China started exporting silk, spices, and other goods to places like India, Persia, and even Rome. The Tang and Song dynasties, a time of culture and innovation. After the fall of the Han, China went through a period of instability, but eventually the Tang dynasty, 618 to 907 CE, rose to power. This was another golden age for China. The Tang dynasty brought peace and prosperity, and it was a time of great cultural growth. Chinese art, poetry, and philosophy flourished during this time. The Song dynasty, 960 to 1279 CE, came after the Tang, and it was also a time of innovation. The Song invented gunpowder, which would later change the world. They also developed movable type printing, which made books and knowledge more accessible to people everywhere. The Mongol invasion and the Yuan dynasty. In the 13th century, a powerful new force appeared in China, the Mongols. Led by Genghis Khan and his grandson, Kublai Khan, the Mongols invaded China and eventually established the Yuan dynasty, 1271–1368. The Mongols ruled China for almost a century, and although their rule was harsh at times, they also opened China to the outside world. During the Yuan dynasty, China experienced cultural exchanges with Europe, the Middle East, and other parts of Asia. This was also the time when Marco Polo, the famous Venetian explorer, traveled to China and wrote about his adventures. The Ming dynasty, the age of exploration. After the fall of the Yuan dynasty, the Ming dynasty, 1368 to 1644 CE, took control of China. The Ming rulers built a strong and prosperous China. They created a powerful navy and sent explorers such as Admiral Zheng He to sail to far-off lands, including Africa and the Middle East. The Ming dynasty also built many of China's most famous landmarks, including the Forbidden City in Beijing and the Great Wall of China. The Ming period was a time of great artistic achievement, with beautiful ceramics, paintings, and architecture being created. The Qing dynasty, China's last dynasty. The last dynasty in Chinese history was the Qing dynasty, 1644 to 1912 CE. The Qing rulers were from a different ethnic group called the Manchus, but they ruled China for nearly 300 years. During this time, China grew larger than ever before, with borders stretching from the Pacific Ocean to Central Asia. However, by the 19th century, China faced many challenges. There were internal rebellions, and Western powers began to push for more influence in China. The Opium Wars, fought between China and Britain, led to humiliating defeats for China, and the country was forced to open up to foreign trade. The Qing dynasty eventually weakened and fell in 1912, marking the end of over 2,000 years of imperial rule in China. Modern China, a new beginning. After the fall of the Qing dynasty, China entered a period of political chaos. In 1949, the Communist Party, led by Mao Zedong, took control of China and established the People's Republic of China. Under Mao, China went through dramatic changes, including the Great Leap Forward and the Cultural Revolution, which caused a lot of suffering. However, after Mao's death in 1976, China began to open up to the world and introduce economic reforms. Over the past few decades, China has become one of the world's fastest-growing economies and has played a major role in global affairs. China's history is long, complex, and full of ups and downs, but one thing has remained constant: the resilience of its people. From ancient farmers along the Yellow River to modern-day innovators, the people of China have faced challenges head-on and built a civilization that continues to shape the world today. As we look at China's story, we can see the rise and fall of dynasties, the greatness of empires, the creativity of inventions, and the determination of a nation that has stood the test of time. China's history isn't just a story of the past. It's a story that continues to unfold, and its future is full of possibilities.